Welcome to another review in the prestigious Dream Speaker series on Stjernholm Reviews, where brave hi-fi companies without any demands put their proud creations in front of the merciless and diverse Silverback listening team. The listening sessions are available in full to our patrons. At the Sound Society audio show in Copenhagen, Gato Audio presented a new speaker, the first of its kind. At the show, we heard an extremely clear and powerful sound emitting from the three-way system, featuring purified drivers only, sending us back to the days of huge studio power monitors, making the Silverbacks feel erotically inclined to get to know them intimately. And now you're entering the full world premiere review of this speaker as we managed to get our dirty little hands on one of the very first pairs off the factory line. This virgin model from the hands of Copenhagen Loudspeaker Company is called the CLC65. That is a reference to the cabinet volume of 65 liters. On the option list is a pair of must-have stands costing 990 euros and an optional front fabric costing 290 euros. Sounds like a pretty decent price to me, given the technology used here, a price that by pure Woodomatic was guessed by all the Silverback members that I invited to guess.
Maybe
70-80.
Probably 100,000 a pair, Danish crowns.
10,000 euros. Yeah.
Right on the money.
It is.
Yeah, exactly. So, now that you know that you might be able to afford it and try it for 30 days, let's dive into the story, the engineering, and the sound of the CLC65.
A real speaker.
Yay!
Stjernholm Reviews, your sound, your music, your planet.
We have been listening to it in two different rooms using different amplifiers. The team have been listening to each for 1 to 2 hours, while I, as usual, have been living in an open relationship with them for extended period, experimenting quite a bit as well. Watching this review will teach you everything about it and help you determine if it's a speaker worth trying at home for you. And let me tell you right away, these beefy ladies are not of the one-night stand kind.
Looking for company, baby?
No, we're not. Thank you.
It's a speaker designed for long-lasting pleasure, and you bet the team was not immediately in agreement on this one. So who are these guys? The brand parent company, Gato Audio, was founded in 2008, blending decades of expertise in electronics and speakers. The name Gato nods to cat in Spanish and Portuguese, symbolizing sleek, agile elegance. From the very start, Gato aimed for aesthetics, technology, and sound in perfect harmony, all designed and built here in little Denmark, marrying Scandinavian minimalism with musical soul. Products like their PWVR222 monoblock amplifiers come to mind as being highly acclaimed worldwide by audiophiles, including review royalty like Sir Steve Guttenberg.
Okay, call me later.
With the 222, they just lit up. There was more life, more that tactile quality coming out.
The CLC65 is the brainchild of Gato CEO Frederik M. Johansen,
Yes.
envisioning a real speaker, a purebred three-way monitor for himself, distinguished under this new brand name and demanding to use expensive high-tech purified audio drivers only in the design.
It's a speaker we have been wanting to do for many years, but not until Purify came out with their new tweeter, we have been able to find the right drivers to make such a speaker.
At the same time, the result were not allowed to break the bank, as this man also maintained a money pit as his daily driver.
I hate you.
The result is a speaker crafted for audiophiles who crave purity and ultra-deep, distortion-free bass.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive.
And very.
Should I push a bit more?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, you definitely could see these speakers on a big festival.
Very good, very deep, tight bass.
How low can you go?
The bass is anchored by the 10-inch long-throw woofer, augmented by those two 10-inch passive radiators in the back for port-free extension down to an astonishing 20 Hz in room. That's quite impressive.
And very.
Technically, it's like 28 Hz and a coic. How impressive that is become very clear when compared to the JBL S4700, featuring a 15-inch bass driver in a ported 135-liter cabinet. And for good measure, side by side,
Yeah.
okay, so checkbox, they did not lie about the bass performance. But any comparison stops there, as the CLC65 takes this to the next level, and the use of two fat-ass 10-inch passive radiators in the back for a portless design, massively extending the possible bass output.
Combines the monitor kind of speaker with a long-term listening pleasure.
The whole package delivers on the promise of super low distortion, speed and low-end power, and mountains of neutral clarity. Something that made the day for both Sebastian and Lars.
It's got the punch, you can feel the bass, but at the same time, it's extremely well defined across the full frequency range. You get a huge space in this room. It's wide, it's deep, it's high. You get all the details in there. So I think also for the mid-range and the highs, it sounds incredible.
I can really say I appreciate what I heard. I really couldn't find anything that I didn't like. Everything was just clear and precise. Soundstage big and deep and wide. Good dynamics, crystal clear highs, mid-range. It all comes down to a speaker that I really, really enjoy. And also for the price, I think to be expected around 10,000 euro. I think this really delivered the goods compared to what you can get for that kind of money.
Yes.
I've got a couple of reference tracks that I always play. One of them being Roger Waters and Bill Hubbard. There's this dog in the beginning. It was mind-blowingly good here. It was just extremely wide, and the dog is way off to the right, and that's the way it continues. And that's a very good starting point. It's a good reference for creating the space around you.
The speakers is available in a beautiful walnut veneer, a satin black, or this white. How about we take them outside for a moment and enjoy their beautiful looks in full.
I love to talk to you. It's not every day that a man can find a woman that he just loves talking. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
Now, let's just have a quick look at that driver technology, starting with the shiny new tweeter. For those that really want to dive in, I've linked to a deep dive in the description down there under the video. The tweeter features a hard anodized aluminum dome chosen for its high mechanical breakup frequency, the geometric stiffness, and super lightweight construction. This avoids ringing, common in soft domes or flat radiators, thus avoiding distortion. If you want to test for ringing, try this track at realistic volumes at its peak. The construction allows it to handle crossover frequencies as low as 1500 Hz. The integrated waveguide and cohere technology disguised as a dome protection grille ensures a 140-degree beam width all the way up to 20,000 Hz. That's super wide, smooth dispersion with a high volume displacement, delivering killer dynamics and no nulls, even off-axis, and boy, that can be heard. The mid-range is the well-known powerful 6.5-inch with all the hallmarks of Purify's cone edge philosophy that keeps vocals and instruments pure, detailed, and fatigue-free. Not having to do any work below 250 Hz, the mid-range is set free to deliver amazing output. So you can just bring your most insane opera tracks and it will just deliver. Then there's the crossover that is built exclusively from top-tier components. Heavy gauge air core inductors, clarity cap ESA capacitors, and real copper foil caps in parallel where it counts. For the bass, a high-quality C-core coil does the heavy lifting. The crossover points are set at 250 Hz and 2 kHz using a modified second-order topology. It's a design that prioritizes controlled directivity, and after a month of enjoying the CLC65 in my day-to-day, I can confirm that the CLC65 also offers a lovely, clear and balanced sound off-axis. The highly recommendable muscular stand is built from solid aluminum and can be fitted with dried sand or similar heavy materials to make it even heavier. It provides a rock-solid bass and places our 65-liter friend here at the perfect listening height, both for battling floor bounce and positioning the tweeter just right. Spikes are included as well for solid anchoring. And let's talk power and placement for a moment. In real life, we found the CLC65 to be able to deliver that deep bass pressure up to around extremely respectable 100 dB SPL before any audible compression start to occur. Naturally, the CLC65 requires some power to get all from it, as the sensitivity is in the mid-80s. Impedance-wise, it dips gently to around 3 ohms, 4 ohms nominal, so it requires some powerful amplification to get everything out of it. We tested it with the house reference amps like the Linkdorf MXA 8400 and even gave it a spin with a 1984 NAD 3020E integrated 25-watt amplifier. Check this video to hear what happened in 40 years. At Gato headquarters, we played on a complete Gato setup. I would note that a speaker going as low as the 65s here can interact in the extreme with room mode's very low frequencies.
Bada-boom.
In some cases, EQ or room correction will be necessary to tame the lowest frequencies. We found the best imaging by having the tweeters on the outside, giving us a little more powerful sidewall reflections.
It means incredibly also here, damn it, man. It's Warhills. It's a completely different speaker now. The soundscape has become much larger. Yes, and the accordion is much clearer than it was before where it was. And likewise, his voice, it's incredible what it can change that we... Boop.
The major aspect of the CLC65 sound is that it's so very neutral and distortion-free. It simply adds no color. This is where the team's immediate reactions differs, as distortion-free neutrality has 2 distinct side effects that we confirm again and again in our sonic travels. Extremely low distortion simply makes you play louder.
I kept thinking more. Yeah, it's again, I call it politeness, but it's not. It's very little in your face, so it's very not much shoutiness. So you can turn it up, and it doesn't feel like you're being assaulted by the sound in any way. If you're used to that distortion and that the underlines the aggression of how loud you're playing, it becomes part of it. But the purists will say, get rid of the distortion, let me hear just what I need to hear, kind of you miss the involvement of that.
Yeah.
They seem very revealing, and that could be a good characteristic if you want to sort of show me what's happening, tell me what's just happening, and don't stand in the way of any information.
Yeah.
So in that sense, they deliver very truthfully.
2. Very natural sounding speakers can initially feel a little boring, especially when comparing them with more colored, excited speakers side by side. The latter is actually perfectly demonstrated here with Patricia. Wow.
Wow.
That's such a cool track.
It's super real. It's not, it's more, you know, I don't really have the feeling of being blown away. It seems a little bit more that you're watching something. So maybe they're a little bit dry in the sound.
Yeah.
But it's a super good speaker, no
Yeah.
doubts.
It's something we have experienced before with other very low distortion neutral speakers like the 20,000 euro Linkdorf Q100, the 4,000 euro Radiant Acoustics Clarity 6.2s, and also the enormous 70,000 euro 5-way active Genelec 8381A. The interesting observation is that they also tend to grow and grow on you over time as the musical quality of neutrality reveals itself.
First impression. Maybe worked. Didn't seem so overwhelming to me, but I must say that the longer we played, the more it won. They have an incredibly wide soundstage, and they have good depth and stereo perspective. It is also fantastic, and they can go insanely deep. You hear things that you don't hear on other speakers.
They are very accurate.
Neutral. They don't jump out like the Daily Epicor 11, which I was really crazy about when we tested them. So this one is a bit more subdued, and they play fantastic with the deep bass and with voices and more acoustic things.
You don't get that elevated bass or ear-fatiguing coloring or aggressive or excited mid-range here. Instead, the recipe is purity, competence, precision, clarity, and smoothness. And with the CLC 65, you get real sub-bass performance and a whole new level of top-end smoothness combined with great dispersion characteristics on top of that. If you decide to try out a pair of CLC 65 yourself, make sure that you give them a couple of weeks with your full music repertoire. In my experience, very few speakers are equally great with all types of music, but these do not feel like a compromise, no matter the genre to me. Personally, it actually mirrors precisely my experience with the Clarity 6.2 that I found to be kind of boring at first. And now it's one of my favorite go-to speakers.
The Silverback Listening Team, elite listeners for nature preservation. Join them on the electronic webs, patreon.com/Stjernholm Reviews.
When presenting the 65 to our most experienced team members, Lars and Sebastian, the initial reaction was immediately positive.
I can't find anything to complain about. It's just up there with some of the best I've heard, and especially given the price range, it's impressive.
And also, if you look at twice, triple the price, I still think this is a really, really terrific speaker.
This made me wonder if the speaker-room interaction could account for the difference, or if this was a coincidence. Sebastian did a session in this room, but confirmed the same positive experience right away.
With the room perfect, everything just fell into place and sounds delicious. I mean, this is a speaker you can just set up. Maybe you can tweak a little bit in the bass, because they can be overwhelming if you push them too much up to the front wall. But if you use a little EQ to tame that, it just sounds sweet. Deep, tight bass, clear mid-range, extended heights, nice soundstage, great dynamics. I mean, What's not to like? For what I've heard now, I just think it's very easy, very listenable, and I could sit here for hours and just relax, and I really like them. Yeah, and especially for the price, it's a bargain.
That's why you're the dog.
I must say they win over time. This they do fantastically. Huge soundscape. And I also have a weakness for Jonas Feld, entirely different. But damn, this is good.
Our different sound profiles and audiophile experience really shine through with a speaker like the 65s here. It doesn't use theatrics to demand your short-term attention. The members typically only sample each speaker for a few hours total, while I get to live with them for an extended period of time, sometimes for months. In this case, the CLC65 has just grown and grown on me, getting better and better as each day passes. The guys on the team that are all about correct full frequency response, imaging and dynamics adored them right away, while Tim Harris just loves his speakers to entertain on a big scale with snap, slam, crackle and pop, if not being used as sound mixing tools. Carsten, on the other hand, likes some coloring and full-bodied warmth with a bit of sugar coating on top, while Patricia, well, she's basically looking for the feels that you get inside a classical orchestra or jazz club. The absolute realism and scale. The CLC65 is a power monitor for the audiophile, chasing low distortion purity in a attractive stand-mounted package.
It's very clean and, yeah, easy to listen to.
Ideal for medium rooms where fatigue-free, genre-agnostic playback is wanted.
Everything was just clear and precise, soundstage big and deep and wide. Good dynamics, crystal clear highs.
It's the antidote to hype, you can say, with incredible deep bass.
Du hører ting, som du ikke hører på andre højtalere.
Effortless dynamics and neutral truth that grows really addictive.
Having that kind of dynamic at the same time as you get the full resolution and precision in the soundstage. The dynamics you get is really amazing.
It's sold direct from the factory with a 30-day return policy.
You fiddle around and you make sure that this is the right speaker for you. And if it isn't, you ship it back to us.
It looks like a first-shot home run for the Copenhagen Loudspeaker Company, to be honest. If you happen to try it out, please share your experience with others in the comments under this video. Thank you so much for watching Stjernholm Reviews. Support us by hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel. Share relevant reviews with your buddies on social media and forums. It all helps our mission of making hi-fi great again and nature preservation. Hang on for the pros and the cons and the review team score. Until next time, remember that the truth always comes clean when we just listen. Thank you for watching.